Well, well, well. Barrett, you're actually here. Astounding.
Ellie! Ellie, come on. I promised we'd stop by, didn't I?
People make promises all the time, Barrett. And most folks try to avoid Gagarin, not visit it. Anyway, I'm glad you made it out here. We have work to do, don't we? It's not a resort. It's a working town run by mining corporations. You don't come here unless you need to, and you don't stay unless you have to.
Or unless you're a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer who genuinely wants to make things better for others. Right, Ellie?
You're kind, Barrett. Yes, I suppose there's that type of person as well. Yes. It was my first case as a bright-eyed, optimistic lawyer.
Well, starting your career with a defeat is rough, Ellie.
It was. But in a way, it made me more determined. Not exactly, but similar cases. A corporation commits a crime and needs a scapegoat, so they select someone powerless to target.
The quintessential Gagarin tale.
Indeed. Down to business. Perfect. What do you already know?
So we already know that Irvin worked for Hephaestus Mining Company years ago, and they blamed him for catastrophic economic and ecological issues here on Gagarin.
Yes. He lost his case because he didn't defend himself, and we had almost no evidence without him.
I recall receiving a message asking him to appear in court a day after his funeral.
An unfortunate reality of interplanetary legal communiques, I'm afraid. He was publicly blamed for the economic woes, and his accounts were seized in compensation.
His account on Gagarin specifically. It was just the amount he was paid years ago for the job.
Right. They would have taken his assets and other settlements, but by law, his death prevented it. Well, we can bring the case to a judge here if we have new evidence or a witness.
What about the evidence we found so far?
Yes, well, about that. It's just not enough. Not on its own, no. It's circumstantial. Helpful to support our claim, but not enough. Best case scenario, we clear his name and his assets are returned, plus additional compensation. In order for me to go before a judge, I'd like to have some solid evidence pertaining to motive. The courts won't entertain a challenge to its ruling unless we're sure that something major was missed in the original trial.
What was the motive from the original trial?
We had no solid motive after our witness withdrew his testimony. Yeah, we need something major. Documentation, recordings, a witness, something.
It's been so long. How could we find anything like that?
I've thought about this a lot since the original case. The mine that Irvin worked at was shuttered in 2309. They probably still have documents relating to whatever happened there with him.
Not really. All I know is that it's a Hephaestus mine from 20 years ago, somewhere on Gagarin.
I don't have a couple decades to wait for you to search them all, so we'll need to narrow it down. Not necessarily. To Hephaestus, it might be cheaper to run away and let the dust bury it all. That's where you come in. I don't know which mine he worked at when the incident took place. In theory, you could find that information on a Foundry terminal, if you can access it. You'll need a passcode. That's the hard part. Besides the Foundry records, there also might be something in Irvin's apartment. If he knew he was being framed, he might have held on to some documents there.
Dear Diary, today we created an ecological disaster and then blamed it on an off-worlder. Love Hephaestus.
Funny. But you'd be surprised how often people write down things that get them into serious trouble.
Oh, do tell.
For comparison, I just finished a case against another company that was charged with illegally dumping waste near the town's water supply. Their permits specified a site that would have cost twice as much fuel, so they sent a memo to the driver to dump it at the first available location just outside of town.
They actually wrote that down. Classic. Do you think your Argos extractor's credentials could work? That would be handy.
Barrett, you brought someone with relevant work experience? I admire that.
I'm nothing if not resourceful, Ellie.
If that doesn't work, then maybe talk shop with another worker. See if they can help.
We just need to find the mine where Irvin worked 20-some years ago. How hard could that be?
Let me level with you both. It might not be possible to find enough evidence, but we may as well try, right? At least we'll know one way or another. If you'll excuse me, I have to get some court documents ready for this case.
I should still have a key to Irvin's apartment. I hope it's worth our time, but I can't be sure. The Foundry District isn't too far from here. Try. Coordinates look valid to me. Imagine Irvin thinking the same thing all those years ago. Just a job, right? Well, at least we know where to keep looking, right? Essentially any documentation that screams, Irvin isn't guilty, we made it up. This is what we do. We're explorers, adventurers. But yeah, other than that, it's my fight. I don't want to get anyone else involved. I guess we'll see what state the mine is in. It's possible they collapsed it before they left. We just won't know until we get there. If that's the case, we'll just have to figure something out. I get why he wanted me to look after his plants. No windows, insufficient power for proper lamps. Oh, he must have been miserable. No wonder he wrote so much. Wait a second. What about this safe? I bet it's locked by a terminal. Well, I'll be. If you ever doubted Irvin's genius, look at all this. Still chugging along 20 years later. Hold on. Is that what I think it is? Be careful not to lock us out of the system. I know you know that. Will you look at that? If we go to town hall, I bet we can get a copy of that hunting license. There's gotta be a way to look up applications. Is that Irvin's employment contract? Let me see. We've already got the coordinates to mine H363. But this will still solidify the fact that he was there. All right, we've got some solid leads, it looks like. The employment contract and the hunting license at Town Hall. And as the lawyer, she's probably right. The burden of proof is sky high on this one. It's likely already in orbit. It was a bit strange going through Irvin's old things, though. I was hoping for some old pictures, but nothing. What's that you have there? A plant? No, but I did find a few slates that might give us a clue. As well as a reminder to finish a physics paper that I never did. Yes, and it was always a remarkable species with an even more remarkable story. I wonder if the same is true for this guy. I'm not sure. It might not even be a plant. It might technically be a fungus. But there's probably a reason why Irvin tried his best to keep it alive. When we get back home, I'll go through some of his research notes. It might tell us something more about this plant. Hopefully it's not poisonous. Witchcraft, probably. But if you want a more scientific explanation, I have a couple of theories. It could go through states of hibernation, or draw moisture from the air the way epiphytic plants do. There's also that habitat dish Irvin set up for it, which gave it light and nutrients. Still, I'm not ruling out witchcraft. No, maybe not. But it helps me. Irvin was the last person to handle this plant. It mattered to him. No matter how the case goes, this warms my heart. I didn't expect to find it, but I love that I did. In any event, I'll go through Irvin's notes in more detail later. There's probably a flowchart somewhere with this little guy's name on it. Oh, on that note, we should give it a name. I'm thinking something simple yet refined. What do you think of Harvey? Then it's unanimous. Okay, the three of us should get back to it. You, me, and Harvey have a case to solve.
An uptick in strongly worded graffiti recently. Guess not everyone is a fan of it.
You ever read about the early history of spaceflight? So political. So familiar sometimes. So, the hunting license was sponsored by Hephaestus after all. Ellie will be very interested to see this. Careful. This place was shuttered 20 years ago. Might have new tenants now. Looks like they left a lot of stuff intact when they shuttered this place. I wonder if they were in a hurry or if it was just cheaper to replace it. Well, they don't need it now. This looks promising. This looks like administration. Bingo. You're done? Impressive. these lab stations. So, they ruined the ecosystem here, and it had nothing to do with Irvin. This is it. This is what Ellie needs to see. All yours. Lights are on down here at least. That's good. It's not uncommon for them to leave all this equipment behind, but it seems rushed. I know it's not a... That was messier than I thought it would be. Is that all? Bad choice. You didn't think this through, huh? The evidence we found so far is compelling. Let's cross-reference it with the other terminals just to be sure. See? It's like Helge tried to do the right thing here. I'm sure Ellie would want to see this. He's citing numerous ethics violations dating back to before Irvin's time, and Hephaestus just ignored him. Gone. I hate it when this happens. This whole planet smells weird. Like chemicals and smoke. Ellie! Hello?
Welcome back, detectives.
Ellie, I sent you all the data from the mine already. As I'm sure you know.
Yes, I've been reviewing it. Sit down. Let's have a chat about it. Welcome back, you two. How was the trip to the mine?
You're gonna love this, Ellie.
Okay, someone better tell me. Come on.
We found the coordinates to Irvin's old work site and went there. Huge battle. Fire, explosions. Pew, 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 pew.
Barrett, please.
You should have seen the plants in there, too. Weird stuff. Anyway, you read over the documents we found there, right? What do you think?
What you both found in that mine is remarkable. These documents show that the chemicals released by the mining process contaminated the ecology even before Irvin was tasked with removing the predators. And they also show that Helgi informed Hephaestus of the issue, and it was repeatedly ignored. And with that, I think we've got ourselves a case, my friends.
Yes! That's what I wanted to hear, Ellie. Woo!
Yes, but it's still likely to lose. Because what we really need now is Helgi as our witness, and that is a problem. Helgi isn't an ideal witness at all. He was our star witness the first time, and he never showed up. Plus, he's got a reputation around town. After he quit, he went a bit weird.
I can handle a bit weird. I know the captain can, too.
Clearly. But the judge might feel differently. It might be worth finding some character witnesses, too, while you're looking for him. I'm glad you're taking it in stride. It's just, for a case with this much science, we need the man who wrote the claims to back them up. Maybe even explain it in layman's terms. That's also a bit tricky. He's hard to find. Doesn't really stay in one place for long. We could, but I think we'd lose the case, bluntly. We can verify these documents are real, but Hephaestus can counter by attacking Helgi's character. They'll label him a disgruntled employee and then find a dozen independent scientists to confirm Irvin was at fault. But with Helgi in court, he can explain the science and help me challenge any countering theories during cross-examination. You might ask Dr. Kayala. She checks up on folks who fall through the cracks sometimes. You'd have to convince her to tell you where he is. That might be hard.
Sounds like we're making a stop at the med clinic. We'll be back when we convince Helgi to be a witness.
Listen, if he refuses, then he refuses. Can't force him.
Yeah, we don't want to press him too hard. The last thing we need is him refuting what he wrote. This is going to take a light touch, but I think we can handle it.
All these fancy new businesses going up in East.
Do you need medical assistance? Are you injured?
Ugh, real scorcher today, isn't it?
Is there something I can help you two with?
Do you happen to know Dr. Helgi Hodgson? We're trying to get his help with something.
Sorry, who are you exactly?
We're detectives. Self-taught and unaffiliated. Freelance detectives. With the emphasis on the free part.
Wait, what? Detectives? Sorry, I don't think I know what you're talking about. No, not really. I mean, there's Irvin the Slaughterer and Irvin the Scourge of Gagarin, but I doubt that's the same person, right? I treat anyone who walks in my doors, if I'm able to. I'm sorry, I'm not a tour guide. You'll have to ask somebody else.
We're trying to help him. And Gagarin, actually.
Only every single time I see him. But listen, I don't have time to chat. Ellie's a good person. That bodes well, but I can't violate my oaths. I'm sorry. Listen, I can say that Helgi took up a job working at Clint's store just down the way. I saw him there stacking boxes the last time I picked up an order. I've got to get back to my work here, so if there's nothing else... If it's patient medical records you're after, I'll remind you, I'm not at liberty to discuss that.
We're thinking of taking Hephaestus to court with Dr. Hodgson as a witness. Given his situation, we're worried the defense might cast aspersions on his character, even question his mental health.
That's unfortunate, but not surprising. Look, if he agrees to testify and grants me permission, I could vouch for his well-being.
Thanks, Doc. If he does end up testifying, we'll definitely need you for the trial. Ellie Yankton will be in touch.
No promises, given patient confidentiality, but I'll do my best. I need to get back to my work now, if you don't mind.
I don't miss all the extra heat from the old forges, that's for sure.
Welcome to Clint's. Whatever you need, I'm sure I've got it lying around somewhere. Except mech parts. Don't trade those anymore, so don't waste your time asking. Well, for one, it's illegal in UC space. Making mech platforms used to be Gagarin's bread and butter. So, since they were banned in the armistice, I get 1 to 2 folks a month asking what kind of relics I might have lying around. But I'm not about to risk a contraband fine at my age, so that's why I just lay it out up front. Refurbished a lot of the pieces myself. Gagarin. It was a military town until the end of the Colony War. Mechs were our specialty. Everyone always blabbers about Mars making the highest performance machines. But if you needed a system that wouldn't let you down in a pinch, you piloted a Gagarin. But that all dried up when the mechs were banned with the armistice. Now, we've got these new firms coming in. Arcmite, Centauri Mills. Claim they're here to revitalize the city. Which is funny, since their employees refuse to step foot in most of it. Plenty more competition for stores like mine, that's for sure. UC had a lot more money to throw around in those days. During the war, I couldn't keep the shelves stocked. At first, because of all the demand. But later, because the Freestar Collective flotillas were so damn good at picking off UC merchant craft. But the biggest difference now? The quiet. Not just because most of the forges and mines shut down. It was the testing. Firms used to drive their prototype mechs out into the canyons, way beyond the city. But you could still hear the guns all the way from here. It was like, shoo, thunder. So when the thunder stopped, well, so did Gagarin in a way. Hard to not be nostalgic for a time when the city was in a better place. Though, knowing what we do now, with the costs of the war and all, probably better for everyone that Gagarin's moved on.
Funny you ask, because I'd like to know too. He owes me a sizable debt. Enough that he's no longer allowed in my store. I don't like denying service to anyone, but it's the principle of the matter. I've seen him around, but never in one place, except when he needs money. I offered him a job, but he showed up to work drunk one day and I had to let him go. I don't have any ill will toward him. Sure, the credits I'd like to have back, but only because it'll mean he's gotten his life together. Nobody is going to know where he is aside from someone who knows the underbelly of Gagarin. And that is Lizzie up at the bar. That's who you need to ask. You sure you got the right person? Helgi and I have had several run-ins in the past. Yeah, and while you're here, maybe see about buying something, eh?
Suppose you heard the news. Terramorphs in the UC capital. I know, I needed a drink after I heard it. Looking for a drink? Don't serve anything fancy, so if you're about to ask for wine spritz or whatever, you can hop right back on your ship to New Atlantis. Not as a rule, no. Just the ones that come to Gagarin and want to change it. And those folks usually ask for disgusting, overly complicated drinks. You one of them? Well, then make yourself comfortable. And don't start anything, all right? Bunch of corporate marionettes moving in, setting up shop. They think we're just a bunch of cheap factories and dumb labor that'll leap at whatever scraps they toss us. But Gagarins are tough by default. We've got exactly zero need of corporate condescension. Sure do. I came into some money right around the time the war ended. Places were selling for nothing. Every person with credits was flying to New Atlantis. I got this place for a wink and a nod. Have been slinging drinks the way I like 'em ever since. Lucky you. I've got a little project I could use some help with. You've seen all the neckties and power suits wandering around town? Feels like they're everywhere. And while I like a bunch of stuck-up new Atlantean MBAs defiling my city as much as I enjoy unmedicated dental surgery, they've got the credits. So sooner or later, I'm going to need to start serving them, or someone else will. There's this ship whose crew had to ditch mid-flight. I presume it's some kind of luxury liner because it's supposedly got an impressive collection of booze on it. I want you to go to the ship, find the best stuff on board, and bring it to me. Anything else on the ship is yours to keep. Plus, I'll throw in some credits for your trouble. No kidding. I'd sign up for your delivery service, that's for damn sure. Well, I guess I'll just take that off your hands then. And here's a little something extra for managing to surprise me today. Appreciate doing business with you.
Should check in with Ellie soon. After we visit town hall.
They said
A reputation already?
was gonna bring jobs.
I'm impressed.
They automate half their damn factory.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. No, nope.
Oh. Huh. Well, my mistake. Just tell me how you want it done. I already sent you the coordinates. Here's a drink for the road, Spritz. Don't cook yourself out there.
You know who's really to blame for Gagarin's problems?
I don't suppose you're here to tell me I've won a ticket to a new planet, huh?
Sorry, Doctor. Not today. We came to Gagarin to investigate Irvin Mandani's contract with the mining company a long time ago. Ring any bells?
Irvin, yeah. Biologist. Hunter. Yeah, I remember him. Why? Who are you people? Then find a history slate. An ancient history slate. Because that's what it is.
Please. Irvin was once one of your colleagues. He was the one Hephaestus blamed for an ecological disaster about 20 years ago. Do you remember any of that?
No, I don't remember lies. Well, you're about 20 years too late.
Look, I know this is strange. We show up out of the blue about things that happened decades ago. But right now, nobody save us knows the truth. And that means we're the only ones who can clear Irvin's name.
And what of it? You probably think the sky is blue too. Well, you'd be wrong. It's whatever color Hephaestus says it is.
Only if you let them. You're a scientist. Your words matter. That's why we need you to testify.
Testify? The trial is over, the verdict rendered. In case you two clowns didn't get the memo. I remember not to talk with people who come asking questions about powerful corporations. Because I tried before, and they threatened me 20 years ago. I still wake up in fear almost every night. They said if I ever left Gagarin, I left my wife to protect her. She didn't deserve any of this. Any of my mess. Ellie Yankton. But why? It doesn't matter. Nothing's changed. I cannot do that. Why is this so hard to understand here? I did, once upon a time. Maybe I still do. Yeah, been a thorn in my side, back and foot for 20 years. Maybe it's time I just pull it out. Fine, you've convinced me. I'd be willing to testify on one condition. I want to know what happened to Irvin. Because when he disappeared, let's just say I had an epiphany. Hephaestus didn't need to say a word. That's when I knew the threats against me and my family were real.
Dr. Hawkson, it wasn't Hephaestus that took Irvin's life. It was the war. Irvin was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Caught in the crossfire.
Then I am sorry for your loss. It won't change the past for either of us. But I will testify. And maybe, wherever Irvin is, you'll be glad that we can finally stick it to those assholes at Hephaestus.
Thank you, Doctor.
Yeah, don't get all mushy on me now. I need a drink.
want to know what I think about all these new businesses buying up the town? No comment.
I hope Ellie is still taking names and holding people accountable around here.
Okay, you two, lay it on me. Did you find Helgi? Did he agree to testify?
Well, we've got good news and... well, that's it. Just more good news.
Okay. Does that mean he said yes? What do we look like? New Atlantis? No. Well, that is perfect. She's probably the best person to call on should Hephaestus decide to play dirty. Well, you two have done all that you could. Now it's time to hand the baton off to me.
What do you think, Ellie? Do we have a chance?
The evidence you've gathered is impressive. It truly is.
So what's the verdict? In this case, I'd say spoilers are appreciated.
I almost never say this because I don't want to jinx it, but I think this case is a slam dunk.
Huzzah! That's what I like to hear.
I think we can do everything on our checklist. Clear Irvin of any wrongdoing, charge Hephaestus with the cover-up, and even restore Helgi, Dr. Hawkson's standing in the scientific community. All in all, though, really outstanding work. We wouldn't have gotten this far without your efforts. And I've got to imagine that wherever Irvin is, he appreciates it too.
Agreed, Ellie. And thanks for being our anchor in this. We should probably get out of Ellie's way and let her do her thing. We can talk more in private. Wow, we actually did it! Solved the case. And hopefully cleared Irvin's name. I feel like... what's the old saying? A great weight has been lifted off my shoulders? But it's actually true. I feel like I'm 80% biomass and 20% aerogel. It's a substance that is literally lighter than air, depending on the planet. Habitable planets tend to range from 1 to 2 milligrams per cubic centimeter. Most aerogels are about 1/10 of that. I feel like I'm currently hovering in that territory. Give or take 1/10. Thanks. I was trying not to be too optimistic about our chances, because that's when a cosmic reversal kicks in. But I think it's okay in this case. We've already proven Irvin's innocence, and I trust Ellie to explain it. Ellie would know better than I, but I doubt it'll be anytime soon. These things tend to involve a lot of red tape. It's a special kind of adhesive that makes you stick to old filing cabinets and manila envelopes. I hope so. It's always a tug-of-war between the workers and the mining corps. But there's one thing we've got in our favor. There's more of us than there are of them. All it takes is for the people to realize it. I'm feeling great. Although I could do with some wine and cheese. Why stop at emotional satisfaction when we can indulge in the culinary too? But if I can be serious for a moment, thank you. I couldn't have done this without your help. That makes 2 of us. 3 if you count Harvey. And who wouldn't? He's practically family. In fact, Harvey's got a little explorer in him too. According to this slate I found, turns out that our spiky friend's been all across the galaxy. You know what? He just might. But it's probably best you chart the course. Harvey doesn't do well with things that require hands. We've been through a lot, haven't we? I had forgotten what it was like to work with someone so closely. On top of everything else we've done together and with Constellation, yeah, I think so. Investigating Irvin's case with you is something I'll remember forever. I've come to realize that some events, some people, stand out as pillars of my life. Yes, some of them do. And if we're lucky, they change us for the better. We only get a brief moment in this universe to interact, to feel, to be who we are and experience the range of emotions that our bodies and minds have evolved to comprehend. Maybe I did. But this is all from my heart, my friend. You're right. The variables involved are beyond human understanding. Being born in the right time, the right place, so much is beyond our control. If one is fortunate, you might even notice events and people changing you while it is in motion. Like any group, Constellation is only capable of doing that because of the people within it. I've explored many worlds, and I've worked with Constellation for most of my life. I cherish those memories. But you have changed me as a person forever. I don't want to look back years from now and wonder what if. I need to know what you think about us. Here we are, the most fortunate people in the galaxy, because we get to explore it all together as friends. Gagarin has always been a bit of a pit in my stomach. I know it wasn't related to Erwin's death, but it happened right before he died, so the events were both emotionally linked to me. Did someone leave some food out before we left? Whoa!
You've got something for me? I'm listening. Yep, here you go. I'm right behind you.
Sarah! Sarah, good to see you again, my dear friend. I expect to hear some exciting tales when you two return.
I'll try, but I doubt any of them will compare to the spectacular tales that we hear you spin.
Here for a chat?